In the domain of emotions, a delicate dance, attachment and detachment, woven in chance, two forces that shape our human quest. In a symphony of love, they manifest. Attachment, a bond that holds us tight, a tapestry of connections woven in light. It binds our hearts to cherished souls, guiding us through life's intricate roles. But sometimes the need arises to let go, to release the grip, let the heart's river flow. Detachment, a lesson in surrender and trust, a bittersweet journey filled with both pain and lust. For attachment, though beautiful, can bring pain. When we cling too tightly, it's hard to sustain. Detachment whispers, embrace the unknown. Find strength in letting go. Let the spirit be flown. Detachment does not mean a heart turned cold. Rather, it's a lesson in being bold. Attachment and detachment, intertwined they roam. Two sides of a coin, they make a house a home. In the dance between them, we learn to grow, balancing the heart's desires as we ebb and flow. So embrace attachment, hold it close to your chest, but practice detachment when it's time to rest. For in the delicate balance of both, we find a love that's resilient, gentle, and kind.
When we let go of our reactions and detach from other people's moods, actions, and words, we take back our power. Building Spiritual Muscles welcomes you all to day 7 of our 10-day ongoing series on real versus real. Vindri Kaurji, our spiritual healer, will decode what exactly is attachment and how do we deal with it. Over to you, Kaurji.
Good evening to all. Good morning to the overseas. Sat Sri Akal, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Ram Ram Ji. So we are back again with another demon. Now how do we tackle with it? And one thing I tell you, this is one of the very important vices. बड़ी बार सुनोगे ना बड़े बुजुर्ग कहते हैं ऐसे की करिए ਅਸੀਂ ਮੋਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਸ ਗਏ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੋਹ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਿਕਲਣਾ ਬੜਾ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੋਹ ਕਿਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੋਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਸ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ the biggest attachment. But one thing remember, there's always two sides to the coin, positive and negative, destructive and constructive. First, we have to discuss when does the attachment start from and what exactly is attachment and why it is so needed. So let us start with this topic. First thing, what is attachment? What does it mean? What does attachment mean? What is the meaning of it? So what does it say on the first slide? It says it is a noun. Attachment is a noun. And the act of attaching or binding to someone, attaching to some feeling, to a person, to a thing, maybe to a cause or ideal, or you like someone, maybe there's a bond, a liking or an attaching to something. Attaching doesn't only mean to children. That means we have an attachment for many things. A person has an attachment for his house. A person has an attachment to his children. A person has an attachment with feelings. They have all attachments. So attachment itself is a noun, but it is a noun which is an act of attaching or binding with certain feeling, attaching to your certain people, or you are some cause or idea or life or money, you're attached to something. So it's no simple word bandhan. In a bandhana to sanu todna hai. We have to break from these type of attachment. Yeah, just mostly moh kehte hain. But now we want to understand what is attachment theory according to the psychologist. What do they say? On the slide, you will see in the second slide, it talks about the psychologist when they're working on the children that were ill children recognized, mentally ill. What did they find out? That, see, what is the attachment theory according to the psychologist? It is when these psychologists were working on mentally ill children, they recognized the importance of a dynamic attachment between parents and child. Very, very important. Mentally sick children and all were because of not having an attachment or a bond between parent and child. That is how this topic of attachment had started. So what is say that if this attachment between the parent and the child is strongest, then what will happen? Their social, emotional, cognitive development is excellent. And if this bond is not there in the early infant, then what happens? Their maladjustment start. Then you can see that they are going to be very unrest and they're going to have a lot of anxiety and many more problems as we'll be discussing in this session today. So what did the doctors say? What these psychologists have said? They say that not only they say even when the child, that is attachment, parent and child, but if the child has been separated from the parents, then what happened? The child displays signs of distress. There's going to be so much of distress, so much of stress, so much of anxiety, and then these children become mentally sick. Then they say behavioral theory. What is the behavioral theory? If the child, the bonding between the parents and mother, unable to comfort a child when parents are absent, regardless of whether they are fed or not. It doesn't mean only by feeding, but yes, definitely feeding also of a child or of an infant brings a bond. But on the other way, it says unable to comfort a child when parents are absent. When parents are not available, then you can see how the children are going to be very uncomfortable, and they are going to come up with different type of behaviors. Some children attach to mothers through feeding. This is very normal. When a child is born, they are, and there's a bonding there. That is definitely a bonding. But then it comes to the next, it says that it is reciprocal attachment. Now, attachment does not necessarily have to be reciprocated. For example, the child and the mother. Now, the mother is feeding, and maybe the mother is having a lot of love for it, or maybe the mother is feeding because she has to feed, or she has to look after the child. But the child is very comfortable with the mother. Attachment is there. Maybe the mother does not have. Maybe the mother does not, because she has to go out. She's in a different world. So it is not definitely that they will be reciprocated by either of them. Specific behavior seeking closeness to the attached figure when upset, threatened. So what happens? The bond between the parent and the child is very, very important. Just no si kende ha mo. Asi is chीज no si mo kende ha. But attachment we say in English. And mo is very, very important. ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਮੋਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਗੈਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕ bring up ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ. So this energy is very, very important, and it is needed. If you really want a very healthy and a strong emotional child, we have to have this attachment. ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਮੋਹ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ. Then only we can have a very healthy mental child. Now, if we agree to this, they say, according to the psychologist, that the doctor find out, we are carrying, it is all in our genes. I told you about the lust also, about the anger also. So this also is a biological process that all children are born with this attachment genes. They have this attachment gene. And what is it? Which allows them to discharge, when this attachment gene, they allow them to discharge a social releases that ensures the child to cry and cling to attachment. But at the same time, remember, when the child has this in the gene, so also the mother has the attachment gene. It is in both. That is why this attachment emo itna vada, itna effect hai in bonding of the child and the mother. So that means these all vices, which we call the vices, are in the genes of each and every one. Now it is our duty to make it constructive or destructive. So we are inborn with this. So this is what the psychologists have said. Now, after understanding the psychology, their theory, we come to a place where we have to understand what are the 4 stages of attachment. And when does it start and what are the 4 stages? So now on the screen, you can see the 4 stages. They are the pre-attachment stage, then the indiscriminate attachment, then comes the discriminate attachment, and then comes the multiple attachment. So now on the screen, you can see all 4 of them. These are all the 4 stages of attachment. Now, when does it start? The first, the pre-attachment stage. Before we start with the child gets attached to something, that stage starts from when? It starts when the child is born till 3 months. It is till 3 months. And now it says that this infant does not show any particular type of an attachment to anyone. Doesn't even, but why? Because the child at that time, at that period, is just needs his need. He's hungry, he needs his food, or he is not comfortable, or he's having a little pain. So that is when he cries and he's fussy about it. So this is, we think is an attachment. No, this is a pre-attachment stage at the time of birth till 3 months. So what happens that these infant positive responses attracts attentions of caregivers. So when the infants, when they are looked after, they show positive response. Who? The infants. When they show, they attract attention of the caregiver. When they are crying or they are fussy, then what happens? The caregiver comes and they give attention and the infant shows a positive response. But this is pre-attachment stage from birth till the 3 months. Now we come to the next. The next is the indiscriminate attachment. This starts from 6 weeks to 7 months. Now, when they respond to their needs, now who? The caregiver, they start responding to their needs. While they still accept care from other infant starts distinguishing between the familiar and the unfamiliar people. So you can see this is the indiscriminate attachment, is indiscriminate. They cannot discriminate between anything. So they just have a preference for the primary and second because they're becoming a little alert. As the baby grows from 6 weeks to 7 months, you see the brain is also working. They become alert also. So slowly the infants are trusting the caregiver because they start having an attachment. Now, distinguish between the primary and the secondary. Now they can distinguish. When the mother catches or the secondary, they can now distinguish between the 2 of them because they are growing, they are alert, they start becoming aware, and the brains are also growing. Now comes the discriminate attachment. Now this comes, the discriminate attachment that comes from 7 to 11 months. It comes from 7 to 11 months. Now what happens at this time? The infant show a strong attachment and a preference for one specific individual. At this time, they may be having more for the mother, and if the mother is not available, maybe for the nanny, or maybe being looked after by grandparents, so they get very attached to one specific individual because now they can make out the difference. They become having a discriminate attachment that is from 7 to 11 months. Then what does it protest when separated from primary attachment figures? When we separate them from that primary, maybe it is the mother, maybe 24/7 she is working in the house. And then when we separate her or she goes, then
Hello?
that is when they protest against it. They protest. Or maybe when the mother is not there and there is a nanny in the house, and if the nanny agge piche ho jandi hai, then they protest. This is because they come to know the difference. They come to know about the difference of the primary and the secondary caregivers. Now, If we separate them, what do they show? They show separation anxiety, the children. Those infants, they're showing the anxiety. That is the separation anxiety, or they will show stranger anxiety. When any stranger come, then they will show this anxiety, because that is called because they now can discriminate between the primary, the secondary, and any stranger also. Then comes the last, and that is the multiple attachment. Now this is after the 9 months. After the 9-10 months, then this comes multiple attachment, because the child, the baby, comes in contact with so many people around. And now as it is growing, brain is growing, the baby is alert, listening a lot of things. And what happens? It starts having multiple attachments. Now, multiple attachment means what? The children begin to form strong emotional bond with other caregivers. They can be second parents, they can be older siblings, they can be grandparents, but then they slowly start having this multiple attachments. Because in a family, if there are grandparents, or there are any siblings, or there are any extended family, then at this time, they start having multiple attachments. Now, when they have all, these are the different stages of attachment. Now, the next stage says, what are the factors? Okay, again, that influences this attachment. These are the 4 stages. But what are the factors? Okay, again, environment, behavior that influences attachment. So in the screen, you will see that first one is the opportunity for attachment. Opportunity for attachment. Now, what is this? When caregivers respond, opportunities for attachment, children who do not have a primary or a secondary care figure, such as raised in the orphanages. There may be some people, women who go out to work, and in the house, they cannot afford a nanny, or they may not be having a very permanent secondary caregiver, or even in orphanages where they do not have these primary and secondary caregivers. So what happens? These people, they fail to develop the sense of trust. So that means these things also affect. These are the things that are needed, but they do not get. So what is the other thing that gives them the opportunity? Quality caregiving. There's another factor. There are 2 factors. This is one factor. And the second factor is what? Quality caregiving. That was a negative form. Now this is the second positive form. Essential foundation for attachment. When caregivers respond quickly and consistently, children learn that they can depend on the people who are responsible for the care. So when the nannies, or you can say the primary caregivers or the secondary caregivers, when they look after them very beautifully, then the essential foundation for attachment, they respond quickly and consistently. Who? The caregivers, the parents, or the nannies, or the extended family, when they look and give them a very quick and consistently respond, then the children learn to depend on the caregivers. Now the question will come, why should the children learn to depend? Yes, because they're not that big enough that they can become independent. इसी करके किया जाता है कि parents know a more the ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ tool है ना use करना पैंदा है. It is very necessary to bring up the child, because they're not independent. They need and they're dependent on the parents. So this is needed, but till when? Till when the child becomes independent. But sorry to say, we do not move back this tool. ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਟੂਲ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਚਲਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ, ਬੁੱਢੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ ਨਾ, ਸਾਡੀ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ। ਇਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ that ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੋਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਸ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੋਹ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਿਕਲ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। Why? Because we have not learned to transmute it at that time when the children are becoming independent. For example, if the child comes from school and he is now going into 8, 9, 10, 11 class, okay, and the child comes, and we as parents, we want to give them garam fulka de ditta, but we want to sit with them, we give it to them, we'll get the thing every for them. They become so dependent, that what happens, these children never learn to grow. They don't learn to grow. They become dependent on the parent when they are quite independent. They can think, but we always want to think for the children. Because हमारी मोह इतनी attachment होती है that we want to decide everything for the child. So when we want to decide everything for the child because we think this is love. So what happens in the long run? The child is not even able to take his decisions. So we have not been able to stop that attachment when the child has become independent. So it is a very big thing that when the child is small, it is very necessary to have this attachment, a bond between the child and the caregiver, let it be the parents or let it be the nanny or let it be the extended family. Now, we have done the 4 stages. We have done the influence of the attachment, and now we will do the 4 attachment styles. Now, how we are doing, what are the 4 and what are the repercussions? We're not only going to do the 4 styles, but we're also going to do the repercussion. What is going to be the result of those attachments? So the first one, which we are going to come onto the screen, is the anxious ambivalent attachment. Anxious, you can imagine. What mean anxious? Now this type of, what is this? These children become very distressed because of the anxious attachment. What are these children become very distressed when parents leave? Now parents and all are busy. They may be busy in something or the other. So what happens? These children and all are very anxious. They become very distressed because you will see further child become distressed when parents leave. Anji, can you just show the whole thing? Can you just show what happens in the anxious attachment? Yes. So what happens? Child becomes distressed when parents leave. Uncommon style, result of poor parent availability. This is a very bad way. That is why we are coming up with sessions of parenting. Why? Because not of a proper parenting also. What happens? These children and all become anxious. They have a lot of anxiety, and then slowly their mental health starts getting disrupted. So this, and what is the repercussion of these things? What are the repercussions? They say that these repercussions of the, you can say, this anxious, the anxious attachment jo hai, these children tend to distress. They have no trust on the caretakers. They means that the environment is exploded and they are so confused. They are always seeking approval. This is, they're having no trust on anyone. Why? Because of the anxious ambivalent attachment, because there is no good parenting, no bond between the children and the mother and the parents. Then these children and all, they are what they're carrying this. Now, what is the repercussion? When these children, when they have very insecure children, they have no trust and all, then they carry these baggages till their adulthood. And they become what? Emotionally dependent. So you can imagine, jere bachchiyan nu assi moh de naal nahi palya during their childhood, these children are going to have a problem in their adulthood. So become aware. When you see in adulthood, the children and all are not able to express, or emotionally they are very weak, or they're very anxious, and their decision makers, they are not there. Always remember that something went wrong in their childhood. That means there was some attachment or something between the parents and the child. Now, we come to the next, which we call it the avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment. Now, what is this avoidant attachment? Avoid, you can understand. What does avoid mean? Now, these avoid means when the parents avoid. They avoid certain reason, because they are very busy in the business, or maybe was working in their own field, or maybe they're socializing a lot. Let it be XYZ. But when the parents are not avoid, then this avoidant attachment, what happens? No preference between parents and complete, and they have nothing. For them, parents and complete strangers are same. No preference they have. एक parent भी आ जाए, complete stranger भी आ जाए, no problem. Then This avoid parents and caregivers are also abusive or neglected caregiver. At times we leave it with the nannies or then what happens when these children are being abused at that young age, at the tender age? Then what happened? These children, they come up with this avoidant attachment. When these children come up with the avoidant attachment, so what is the repercussion? What is the result of it? The children under this style, their emotions have been unmet. They have not been met. They feel unloved and insignificant. Then what happens? They're also having, now this is the repercussion, not expressive. You will see in long run, they're not going to be expressive. They will not express, hard to understand emotion. Not only we people will have difficulty in understanding their emotion, they'll also be not able to understand anyone's emotion, and they will not express. They will avoid intimate relationships in their adulthood. So now this is one of it. This is one of it, why this is happening. Now we come on to the third, which is called the disorganized attachment. Now this disorganized attachment is actually a combination of the anxious and the avoidant attachment, like two of them going together. So what they say that this disorganized means confusion. And you take it to the next, yes. So it goes that this disorganized attachment is what? That this is a combination of avoidance and anxious attachment. Confusion. Confused mixed up behavior. Disoriented days and confused avoids of resist parents. So you can imagine parenting is not done well. Binding is not there. Bonds are not there. So then what will happen? That attachment more na hoye. That then these children are going to be disorganized attachment, where they are going to avoid and resist parents because they are already very confused. Become a confused thing. And then they lack clear attachment pattern. The attachment pattern is gone. Why? Because inconsistent caregiver behavior. Whoever is looking after them, their inconsistency is there. They're not consistent. Even if a nanny comes, for example, one nanny comes and the nanny looks after the child for 3 months and then she walks off and another one comes. That inconsistency also makes them confused. कि असली वजह है कौन? कि वो माँ है कि या एक nanny या दूसरी nanny? This is all a confusion. So what happens? These type of children also in the disorganized, they make break toys. They will be anger. They'll be having, they get their own ways by becoming destructive. They are having anger issues. And this is going to be very, very disorganized. And what is the repercussion? What is going to be the repercussion? They say that the repercussion is what? That when these children grow up, when these children, they have difficult relationship with their intimates, they are going to have it. Relationships are not going to be good because the relationship were not there with the caregivers, because there was no consistency, because there is abusive. So parenting shows that how parenting is very, very important. This attachment is very needed. Now, there is a very beautiful one more point in which we're going to discuss is about the fourth one, in which we say that this is called the secure. It is called the secure attachment. Get on to the next slide and we will say this is the positive side of attachment. That is called the secure attachment. Now, what happens in this secure attachment? In this, the parenting is very good. They secure attached. Secure, you can understand the children are secure when? Because they have a very good bond between the parent and the caregiver. Let it be the parent, let it be the nanny. So this is depending on the caregiver. Then these children, when the caregiver goes or the mother goes, they are distressed because they say the caregiver is gone, but then they enjoy when they reunite. And they know that if they are gone, they will definitely come back because there is a bond. there is a secure bond, there's a consistency between the caregiver and the child. Then when frightened, if the child is frightened at a tender age, they seek reassurance from the caregiver. Let it be the mother, let it be the father, or let it be the nanny. They get comfort. This is the most common style. This is the most common style. Now, what is the repercussion of it? What are the repercussions? They develop strong self-esteem. See, now from childhood, from the tender ages, they're bringing up this, and as they go to the adult, they are building up strong self-esteem, better self-reliance. They have become independent. Maybe in childhood, they're dependent on the parents, but slowly, as they're growing bigger and bigger, their good bonding, that attachment, is so beautifully attached bond between the child and the caregiver that they become slowly independent. They learn very gracefully. Then they become very successful in social relationship. They don't have much of anxiety and depression. So this secure attachment, the repercussion of is what? That this is going to be very positive. Then now we will come to the next, which says warm, loving parents. This is the child bond between the parent and the child, and they form a healthy long-term relationship. Long relationship. It will be with the child and the mother, long relationship. They'll have no fear of abandonment. But as they grow into adulthood, you will see that they will tie up a certain relationship and they will have long-term, not short-term. Because that attachment, jo asi bachpan de vich, those tender age with they carry it onward to their adulthood. So these relationships are for long, and no fear of abandonment. Ki manu koi chhod jayega, they do not have that fear also. So these are the 4 types of attachment and their repercussion. Now, when we have done the repercussion, that we say that what are the disorders? What are the disorders that we come onto the next screen, which says that what is attachment disorder? There are two types of disorders. What are the first one? One is the RAD and one is the DSCD. Now you will see on the screen that what is attachment disorder. Yes, you can get it onto the screen. They can just read it. That is the RAD and the DSED. What is RAD? Relative attachment disorder. You see, they had the RAD, reactive attachment disorder. This occurs when children do not form healthy bonds with caregiver. When they do not form healthy bond with caregiver, this is often the result of early childhood neglect or abuse and result in problem with emotional management and patterns of withdrawal from caregivers. So this is RAD. This attacks actually the mental state of the child. The next, which comes on the left-hand side, you'll see it is called the DSED. It is DSED, that is a disinhibited social engagement disorder. Now, what does this do? What does this type of a disorder do? It affects the child's ability to form bonds with others and often results from trauma, abandonment, abuse, or neglect. It is characterized by lack of inhibited around strangers. And what does it lead to? Excessive familiar behavior around people they don't know and a lack of social boundaries. So you can imagine कि जदों बचपन दे विच अगर ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਮਮਤਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਮੋਹ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ, you can imagine what are the repercussions. Children are going to be mentally ill. And when they become mentally ill, they're going to carry it to the adulthood. And in the adulthood, you will see that these children and all, when they carry it to the adulthood, now be alert in the society when you see people who are not able to make decisions, people are very angry, having a lot of anxiety, they are in depression, they are always depending on something, or they're not able to make good decision makers. You see all these things, please give a thought. Where did they go wrong? Where did they go wrong? They go wrong when they were in this tender age, in their childhood. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕਦੀ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ, ਸੋਚਿਆ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਸਮਝ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਈ। But nowadays time has come, the new age has come, where we are doing parenting so that the children are being trained so well during those tender ages, because we know that we are building their future. It depends on this tender age. That is why parenting is very, very important for our children. Now, we come to the last stage, which it says that what is actually the, what do these conclusion of the researchers, of the psychologists, what do they say? That when a mother is sensitive, for example, a mother is very sensitive, very good. When the mother is sensitive, then what does she do? She has the thing to care for a child. She's very gentle, compassionate to the child's need, and the infant develops secure attachment. That means sensitive mothers who are emotionally very weak, we say, that means they're very sensitive, or even the caregivers, other caregivers, when they have this type of a character in them, then they are very good for the children at that tender age, because they bring in compassion and they're very gentle and they fulfill the child's need. At that time, what is the child's need? He needs the food, he needs the love, he needs the care, to see his uncomfortness, to see his passing. That's the tender age. So what happens? These children, then infant develops secure attachment. That was the fourth attachment which we did. It is not the anxious or the avoidant or the disorganized. They can the secure attachment with mothers who are sensitive. Now comes to the next. What do the psychologists all say? Insensitive mothers or caregivers. Those mothers who are hard, harsh, they're not sensitive, are emotionally very strong. Now, strong doesn't mean you have to be emotionally strong, but those people who are, you can say, a little bit harsh, then what happens? Those mothers and all, they cannot give that comfort and love to the children. They cannot give. So in their bringing and all, you will see that they come into a different type of an attachment. They do not come to secure attachment. So come onto the screen and let them show the slide. What type of attachment do they go to? This is the second, where the inconsistency parents often, this is insensitive mothers, then come the inconsistency. Many times parents are not consistent. They ignore because of X, Y, Z reasons. Maybe their job, maybe their work, maybe their socializing, maybe X, Y, Z, whatever it is. Maybe at times in the ghar pe itne jagde bhi hunde, they ignore, the consistency goes because the focus is on something else. The parents often ignore a child's need while at the time they meet them. The children need it 24/7 when they are growing. But when the inconsistency is there, is going to harm the children, and they will bring them to what type of attachment? Anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, disorganized attachment. This is what inconsistency is going to lead them to. Now, the next it says what? The unresponsive parents. So all these three, except for the first, but this is the fourth one, unresponsive parents. Parents who are not responsible. Child become independent of the caregiver and does not seek help even in the time of distress. These parents and all who are not responsible, who do not understand. That is why we all have to educate ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. This is the need of the hour. When we educate ourselves, the girls who are just going to become mothers or the boys who are going to become new parents, please go under this study. This is a very crucial time when we need the attachment. Attachment here is a plus point, is a positive. It is more. And it always says that more to beget assi chote bachche nu nahi paal sakde. So this attachment is needed. But if we think bachche chote bachche nu ki pata hai ke 2-3-4 mahine de bachche nu ki pata hai saal de bachche nu, I'm sorry to say, the child is sucking each and every energy. If you are irresponsible, the child sucks it. If you are a socialite, it sucks it. If you are an anxious mother, it sucks it. Then these children are not able to speak because of their age. They don't have the language to express it. But it is all stored in the subconscious mind. and they carry it on and on. And when they grow up into adulthood, then everything is thrown out. Even the children don't understand, even the parents don't understand why they are behaving in this way, why the intimacy is not there, why they're not able to take a decision in the family, That means now we have to become alert and try to understand that something went wrong when the children were in the tender age, and we thought it that they do not understand, and we overlooked and we flaunted and enjoyed life, leaving the children to the nannies, leaving the children to their grandparents, and thinking that work is very important. Yes, sustaining is very good. You have to sustain yourself. But doing work because I am being educated and I have to work and I have to make my identity, sorry to say, in the cost of the small children, is you are going to go haywire, and the children are going to go haywire. You're going to destroy a life. So my humble request, please go over these notes. Please go over. Today I've done the attachment, only the positive type, because a life starts when the child is out of the mother's womb, and the attachment starts in the 4 stages. So how important attachment is. मोह दी लोड़ है, मोह तो बगैर असी बच्चे नहीं पाल सकते. So this is the attachment on the positive side. Tomorrow we will do it on the other negative side and on the spiritual way. Hanji Arvinder, you can carry on.
We hope to have busted the infamous misconception about attachment always being a prerequisite for a loving relationship. Otherwise, we feel कि relationship में जो रुखापन आ जाता है. So it's not always a prerequisite, though of course it's necessary when we are young. So having said that, we are open to inputs and queries to the topic related. Hanji Rajwanji, unmute karo ji.
हाँ जी, सत श्री अकाल बुआ जी.
सत श्री अकाल जी. सत श्री अकाल.
Indifferent attachment.
Hanji.
Students who live in the boarding house, boarding school, right from the schooling till their college. Then some parents who have frequent transfers, just like banking personnel, defense personnel. Now, what will be the effect on the child or the upgrowing?
Okay. See, this is very important to know. When we send our children to boardings, we send children to boarding. We must know the intent of sending the child to the boarding. What is our intent of sending the child to the boarding? Many times what happens कि बच्चे ना बहुत ही मस्ती वाले हैं, very destructive and very indisciplined child. और एक बच्चा बड़े गुस्से वाला होता है, तो ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ इस बच्चे ਨੂੰ boarding भेज दो, उसे डंडे पेगे आपे ठीक हो जासी. उसे जाएगा, उसे disciplined हो जाएगा. So what happens? Our intent is different. So when we send these children there, we are actually destroying our children. हो सकता है कि डंडियां दे नाल disciplined हो जान, but you do not know the scars that the children, because when children at home are destructive or anger or indisciplined, कि साडे कोल time सी to find out why the child is so angry, why the child is indisciplined, what is the reason for it? Did we go to the root? No. ਅਸੀਂ ਕੱਲ ਇੱਕ ਬਾਰ tip of the ice ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਾ ਬੜਾ indisciplined ਹੈਗਾ, ਬੜੇ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ, destructive ਹੈ, ਉਠਾ ਕੇ ਪਾ ਦੋ ਉਸ boarding ਵਿੱਚ. ਅਸੀਂ boarding ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. बोर्डिंग ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, डिसिप्लिन तो हो जाएगा क्योंकि ਉੱਥੇ ਡੰਡੇ ਪੈਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਧੇ ਹੋ ਜਾ, ਟਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ. But the scars are there when these children come out from their boarding. When they come out, there are many children who feel that they are not being recognized by the parents. We have many children when the children feel they're not being recognized, and those children and all have a lot of issues because we're not gone. Then there are children who are very intelligent and very disciplined child. Everything is there. But then they want that the child should be a little bit exposed, having no problem, but they want the child to be exposed because the child is now come to 8, 9 standard. So the child should go. He should go and get exposed. Then that is a different reason. That is again a different reason. But ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੋਰਡਿੰਗਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ only for our benefits. Very frankly to say, ਅਸੀਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਾਣਗੇ ਚਲੋ ਜੀ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਾਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਡਿਸਪਲਿਨ ਵੀ ਹੋ I'm sorry to say, boardings ਬਹੁਤ ਖੁੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ. But children coming out from the boardings, definitely they are going to be very independent because they're away from the parents. They're going to become very independent. They will not this thing, but in the long run, you will find in relationships, or you will find these children attachment. There is a cry with these children. They have a cry inside. So, okay, boardings and all are there everywhere. There are, but before you put a child to the boarding, try to understand the intent of putting the child to the boarding. What is your intent? तकरीबन बच्चे यही पाते हैं जी बच्चा बड़ा गुस्से वाला है, बड़ा लाड़का है, बड़ा डिस्ट्रक्टिव है, जाएगा उत्ते पढ़ेगा, पढ़दा ते है कोई नहीं, उत्ते डंडे चढ़े बैक up. These are the lot of reasons. There are very seldom reasons where we say that we have to expose the child. He has to grow, he has to learn where the world is. Then that is different. Hanji.
Hanji Gauri. For those that may have missed any of our sessions, all the sessions for the first week, that is lust, anger, and the first session of greed have been uploaded on our website. So you can log in there and you can revisit and listen to the sessions again. Our website is www.jeevancharge.org. And while you are listening to the recorded sessions, which are available free for a couple of days, almost 10 days, after that, it will be a paid version. So you can also avail of our other courses because it's summertime practically all over India and many places abroad. So we have a number of courses coming up in Jeevan Charge for tiny tots, for adults, for youths. So kindly avail of them and make judicious use of our holidays. Yes, anybody else would like to input or share anything on our topic related today, attachment? When we spoke about attachment, now attachment begins in the womb, right? Through the placenta, we are attached. But that is healthy, that's required at that time. But once the umbilical cord is cut, then at least physically, we are not attached to our parent, to our mother, right? Now,
Yes.
After that, how we wean away emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and how we become detached and stand on our own, it's basically totally dependent on us. Because attachment is there, it's in our blueprint. But how we wean away, it doesn't depend only on us. There may be contributory factors.
So what happens, see, attachment already be done, that is already in our genes. So that is
Yes.
there. That means we all are carrying this gene. Now it is up to us to make it constructive or make it destructive. Today attachment, we are making it constructive when we are bringing up our children. Okay, but we have to have the knowledge. आज जैसे knowledge impart किया है, knowledge तो बगैर नहीं हो सकता. First tool is knowledge. When you get this knowledge, then you say, okay, the child has to get an attachment at the very tender age. But when the child becomes big, now is a time when I have to detach. I cannot keep, because I have to give space to the child. The child has to grow. His brain has to grow. He has to become a decision maker. He has to become independent because he's going to go into the world now. So what happens? That is where we use the knowledge and slowly try to detach, because it's going to hurt us. I will be doing tomorrow on that part also, yes. Where attachment, when not weaned off in the correct time, then that attachment is going to hurt us. That attachment is going to, what will become like attachment, which will equal to expectations. That attachment will become to expectations. And when there is expectation, there will be plus, there will be hurt. And when there will be hurt, there will be plus what? Conditional love. It will not be unconditional, it will be a conditional love. This is what attachment will do. So with the knowledge, we have to wean off that attachment in the correct time. Don't overfeed the children. Don't let them become parasites. Don't put everything on the platters. Let the children fall so that they can get up and learn. Before only they can fall, we make the path very clear. We're like the bulldozer parents, no? बर्फ साफ कर देना ताकि गड्डियां ठीक ठाक चलियां जावन ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇੰਜ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਗਿਰਨ ਹੀ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਰਸਤਾ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰ ਦਈਏ but in the long run this attachment this way of parenting and attachment is going to harm the children's growth. They will never learn to fall and get up. They'll never be able to take failures in life. They'll never be able to make decisions. So with knowledge ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਹੁਣ attachment is going to give me some hurt, stop it because ਬੱਚੇ ਜਦ 9-10 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਕੱਲ ਆ ਕੇ they get out of control ਜਾਂ 15 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਆ ਕੇ out of control, you did this, no mom I just hit you, I don't want to ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ so what happens, we start feeling hurt, hi pal post immediately start detaching because this attachment has equal to expectations. You want that the child should be very nice to me, that the expectation plus is giving hurt to me also, and then plus conditional love, hun bolya hun no love par yaar ja, then the matter will settle down, then we sasi gale lagavange, becomes conditional. So then that is a time when we have to understand we have to wean off. Is becoming hurting, that means we have to wean off. Let it be anything, any of the vices, we have to wean off.
Yes, well said. We have a couple of questions, so yes, quickly we can take them. Anjali ma'am, unmute yourself, ji.
जी आई अंडरस्टैंड ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ ਡਿਟੈਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ आई अंडरस्टैंड डिटैच मतलब एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं करनी है बिकम इंडिपेंडेंट क्यों एक्सपेक्ट करना है ना बट वो जी अगर ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ सोसाइटी भी इतना प्रेशर करती है यू नो इन लॉज भी ਸਾਰੇ ਕਿ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਰੁੱਖੀ ਮਾਂ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਲੇਬਲ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਜਜਮੈਂਟ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਰੁੱਖੀ ਮਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਲੈਣਾ ਦੇਣੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਤੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਮੇਕਿੰਗ ਯੂਰ ਚਿਲड्रन ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਜੋ ਅਗਰ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਤੇ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਬਟ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਪਏ ਆ ਨੌਲੇਜ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਨਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਪੂਨ ਫੀਡਿੰਗ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿਉਂ ਪਲੈਟਰ ਤੇ ਦਈਏ ਨਾ
Yes, absolutely. So then you can choose one thing. या तो तुसी बड़े बुजुर्गों की गल सुनो and become that attached mother, or you become that independent and you become detached, because you know by detaching from these children who are now grown up, who are now independent, can take their decisions and all, you can see the children growing. It is for their benefit. Then detached doesn't mean that. Detached means that you're always there to advise the child, you're always there to guide the child, but you don't hold on to them. You throw the ball into their court and let them decide. So this is detachment. So either you want a child to go very healthy way, mentally very healthy and independent and a very good life decision maker, then let the elders talk, let the family people talk, because they're ignorant about it. No, they don't know. But you are watching, you are know na tanu psychology te pata lag rahi na, so why not?
नहीं बहुत जरूर नहीं भी पता से आई रिमेम्बर व्हेन माय किड्स वर वेरी स्मॉल तो इट्स ओके अगर वो खाना मेस भी करते थे इट्स ओके दे आर लर्निंग ना
That is because you are aware. No, you are aware. Others are not aware about this, because you are coming this young age. In the Montessori school they say jitna marzi gand pawa sikko bari kar le, because this is the way the children have to work. Asi kehne spick and span, इधर में गंद डालो, ये भी मत डालो. Nowadays what does Montessori say? Give them, let them do all the fingers are working and all the hands and every movements are there. They are working in a very different way.
So I think you have to be quiet कि जिसका
Yes, be quiet. It is okay that they are ignoring. They don't.
They are
Yes,
ignoring.
absolutely.
Thank you Boji.
We have to stop being Mother Indias. We love to do that. No? We give undue importance to ourselves. Our children cannot do without us. But the
Yes.
fact is totally the opposite.
Yes.
Yes.
Anji.
Yes, Meenuji. Yes, you can unmute yourself.
Anji Meenu.
Can you hear me, Didi?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to know the pros and cons when the children were brought up in big families of 8 to 10 members together.
See,
Before like a generation, 2 generation
Yes.
before. They were healthy enough because
Yes.
bacha kithe pal raha si aur kithe sonda si day, night, and it was a mixed thing in the family. Chachi kol soya, like there were two families, three families together.
Yes. So
I
what
just wanted to
happened?
know about that.
That is because that is during our time.
Yeah.
We had big joint families and all. जितने बच्चे भी 10 को होंदे सन, क्योंकि चाचे चाची के सारे बच्चे होंदे सन. That time there was no exposure to all this entertainment and media. नहीं होता सी.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
was very simple. Food was very simple.
And the
Aj-
mothers were at home.
And the mothers are more at home.
Grandmothers.
What happened? That was the need of the hour. Mothers were very obedient, and that was a time when parents and all were not exposed to the thing. The children were not, and they're satisfied. You see their life. Nowadays, बच्चे जरे again ਅਸੀਂ 10 to we are going down to unit families. Unit families ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੇ 3-4 ਬੱਚੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਨ. ਹੁਣ ਤੇ 3 ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਨ, ਹੁਣ 2 ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, तो ਕਹਿੰਦੇ हम 2 हमारा 1. And now a time is coming when parents are saying हम 2 no बच्चा.
Yeah. True.
This come. Why? Because the parents' first mental state is becoming different. They say, we want to enjoy life. Second time they say, okay, we got one child, we cannot support, we have to sustain one, we have to give him the best, and we need this much of finance. So they're so well, equipped with everything. So what happens somewhere, we people are, that emotional body of our of compassion and love and all is diminishing, is going. So now when the children are come, we want to give them the best, and the children never learn to hear a no. And
So
then what
that time the babies the children were more healthy in a state of mind?
they were
Like
more
they were
healthy.
together?
Yes, they were more healthy. Now they are not healthy in the mental state is
Mentally.
not. That is why now we need parenting, no? ਸਾਡੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਪੈਰੈਂਟਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਆ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ sessions after sessions all over the universe they're taking. Why? Because this is the need of the hour.
Right. Thank you.
Thank God bless you. Hanji Tavinder.
Yes, Tavinder ji, you can unmute yourself.
Can you unmute?
Yes.
Yeah. Pooji,
Hanji bacha.
You're on mute again.
You're unmute. Unmute bache. Unmute yourself.
am I audible now? Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Pooji, sometimes it happens that sometimes situations are like this and even the kids are grown up and you are helping them somewhere. Is it that is also like we are making them dependent on us?
No, bache, dekho, when children are growing up, you have to be very alert and you must know that when you're helping the children, is it actually needed? If it is needed, definitely. ਅਸੀਂ ਬਗੈਰ ਨਹੀਂ need ਅਸੀਂ help ਕਰਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ, but there are certain time when the child needs help. They need help. That you have to be very calculative and introspective that the child needs it. Yes, do it. When you find no, it's okay. That you have to uplift yourself, educate yourself where the child needs and where the child does not need. Where the child needs it or is the child becoming a parasite. That is what you have to see.
So even if they are elder enough, like if our kids are elder and we are telling them something, okay, fine, we are telling, but that doesn't mean that we are still making them parasites or we are not helping them or in a that way.
No,
Is it
what
like-
happens? Dekho, when children and all are doing certain, when they are growing, okay, then we are watching, parents are watching. When parents are watching, you have uplifted yourself, you're educated yourself, you can find where they need help, where they don't need help. Then what happens? You try to make the children understand, okay, this is
Yeah.
where I can help you. This is where you'll have to learn to toddle yourself. So what happened after saying this, you've thrown the ball in their court. Now let them decide. Let them decide.
So giving our view doesn't mean that we are
No. You can give your views, you can guide the children, you can tell them what is right and wrong, and then throw the ball into the court and let them decide. That is their choice.
Thank you, Pooji.
Anji, God bless you, bache.
Yes, before I take up your question, Rajwanji, let's quickly have a look at the courses that Jeevan Jaj offers us. We'll have a look on the slides, the fantastic courses that we have come up with this summer. We have courses for our tiny tots too. So if there are any grandchildren, children, right from the age of 3 upwards, we have something for all of you. Be it Punjabi, be it grammar, be it Sangeet. This is our website. This is our course. Language Academy has come up with these fantastic courses for tiny tots. Once a week, Saturday, I'm sure we can spare that much time. Let our tiny tots learn a new language and express themselves freely. Regular Gurbani courses, Punjabi courses. So you can log on to our website, Punjabi language and Gurbani course, starting 3rd July. Let's avail of this. It's a regular evening course. So we can avail of these fantastic courses. Log on to our website, go to the Learning Hub and have a look at all these courses, register yourselves, and in our courses, the Allah Khatto, a grammar course starting 3rd July. We all know the importance of grammar in any language. So this is all that we have from our Language Academy and our Sangeet Academy also. All those that are interested in learning Sangeet, vocal and instrumental, we have a team of musicians headed by Ustad Barinder Ji and his team of musicians. So go to Learning Hub, Sangeet Academy, and look at all the courses. Even for kids, vocal, offline, online, one-on-one, we have various permutations and combinations. So all these can be availed of during this summers and later on also. So while you take a look at our recorded sessions, kindly take a look at the courses offered by Jeevan Jaj too. Start learning, add to cart, and yes, you are hooked. Our counseling cell, and of course you recognize the dynamic figure over there. These are a panel of counselors that we have attached to Jeevan Jaj who are doing fantastic job. So we are just a click away, just a phone call away. Any unbiased counseling that you need, we are there for you at very, very nominal rates. So do log in, get in touch with us. Our recorded sessions are available on Jeevan Jaj YouTube channel. For those that are new to Jeevan Jaj, Building Spiritual Muscles has conducted, this is our current 23rd series. So each series was for 5 days and an open forum. So 25 into 6. So the number of sessions that we have done on various enlightening, empowering topics. So they're all there on the website, free of cost. You can listen to them every day in your me time and upgrade yourself. And your detachment will become so much easier once you become a part of this journey. Laws of Universe was a series, a fantastic series, which we have recently conducted. It was conducted at 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. So please be a part of our series and empower yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jeevatranji, back to your question.
जी हाँ जी जी आवाज आ रही है
हाँ जी आगे जी आवाज आ गई
a little more to add.
हाँ जी दसो
Students studying abroad,
yes
few of them coming along with the bride.
okay
Boarding schools, co-education, non-co-education, their after effects, senior bullying, ragging junior students, and some of them forgetting their culture. One of my friends, my classmate from Punjab, he completed his schooling, everything here only. He never goes there. He does his job here, and his intermarriage he has done. To explain what are the after effects of such.
See what happens when they have intercaste marriages. ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਭ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਹੈ ਸਭ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਹੈ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਬਿਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ, so that means there is no discrimination between any people, all are pure souls. But what happened in intercaste marriages, they have their own disciplines, they have their own rituals, you know. So what happened when a male and female come together in the marriage bond, then their culture becomes a problem for them. Their culture becomes a problem for them. Otherwise, there is only this is the problem. Their culture, their way of thinking, their background, all their discipline, they come and they clash each other. We say no, that anger arises when there are two types of thoughts. When they come together, they meet, there is always a clash and there is always anger rises. So you can imagine when two people come together with a different background, with a different religion, with a different discipline, with a different thought process, when they come together, they have to be ready for the repercussion. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੋਲੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਬਈ ਅਗਰ ਇੱਕ ਹਿੰਦੂ gets married to a Hindu ਤਦ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ, ਅਗਰ ਸਿੱਖ gets married to a Sikh ਤਦ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤੇ ਹੋਏਗੀ, ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤੇ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਖਾਲੀ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ the chances are more there. Why? Because the full background is different. Background is different. ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਜਿਹੜੇ abroad ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ along with the bride.
So then that is their
their
way of thinking becomes different, no? Their way of thinking becomes different when they go out. Then maybe their parenting, their bringing up, their rearing, there may be something. When they went out, they decided to take it. It all depends on their own emotional body. It all depends on their own characteristics, on their own instincts. They go out, they become independent, they get married there, they get a wife from there, maybe getting a foreigner along with them. It is all individual.
Which is better, co-education boarding or non-co-education?
See, boarding or non-boarding, only you have to understand that whenever you go to a boarding, find out the intent first. Find out the intent why you are sending. अगर जान छुड़वाने वास्ते कर रहे हो कि बच्चा ठीक हो जाएगा, बच्चा सीधा हो जाएगा, बच्चा मस्ती करता है, डिस्ट्रक्टिव है, I'm sorry to say, you're going to get a very unhealthy mental baby. Hanji, Nindar Manjeet, yes.
One last question we can squeeze in. Hanji Manpreet ji, please unmute yourself quickly.
Unmute. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬੱਚਾ, ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਭੂਆ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁਣੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਆ ਕਿ ਸੈਂਸਿਟਿਵ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਲਣ ਲਈ, ਕਿ ਮੋਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂ, ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਡੇਲੀ ਲਾਈਫ 'ਚ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜੋਬ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਰਫ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ, ਹਨਾ, ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੈਂਸਿਟਿਵ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ?
देखो बच्चे, as we are telling about attachment है ना, तो attachment everyone thought is a very negative way, but सानू पता लग गया कि attachment is very very important for those child when they are in those very delicate ages. We need attachment to bring up the child. So that means even if it is sensitive, otherwise we say don't be very sensitive, be strong, you must be very emotionally strong. But when we are bringing up the child, same thing like an attachment, we need the mothers to be very sensitive, because sensitive mothers, those they can shower their compassion, their love, their consistency, because the children need the consistency. They need that the mother should be available. They need the comfort and care during the delicate age. These children need it. But once the child are out, and then over there you don't need to be sensitive. That means if koi bhi kuch keh dega to tusi ronde tonde rahoge. Then we say okay, now become strong. Don't get so drained off and all. Emotionally become strong. You don't have to keep on crying in and out. So there are two things to everything. Sensitive mothers bring up the children very well. Definitely when they go back to their work and all, so thoda hard ho jande. But now become alert, because the knowledge is saying about, now when you come to the children, be careful that you are able to be consistent, you are able to look after them, you can give them compassion, you can give them love, you can, at least all the demands, you can fulfill them.
ਹਾਂਜੀ,
So you have to be learn how to switch on and off.
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ
That's
ਭੂਆ
the beauty of us. That is what they say, that in our DNAs there is attachment, but making it constructive or destructive It is up to us. But we can make it constructive or destructive only if people know the knowledge. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਾਲੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਿ DNA ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਸਾਡੇ genes ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ, but ਇਹ genes ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ. So same thing for attachment, if there's a positive side to it, even having a sensitive nature is very good because of a mother looking after her babies, because they need the love and compassion and care and the consistency of a mother. But when you go to the other place, over there you switch on and take a stand. Just detach, then attach. I will doing tomorrow detachment. So you'll become more clear with it.
Manjeet ji, would you like to add something? Your hand was raised. Hanji, unmute yourself. Hanji.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਭੂਆ ਜੀ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਗਿਆਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਇਟਸ ਵਰਥ the effort which others are putting in and joining your classes. ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਡਿਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ। Mostly when a kid is born, it is being said, no, mothers and mothers. ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਪਰਸਨਲੀ ਸੋਚਦਾ, ਫਾਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ 25% ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ 30% ਹੋਏ, ਫਾਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਚ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਟ ਬਿਕਮਸ ਈਜ਼ੀ ਫॉर ਦੀ ਮਦਰ ਆਲਸੋ, ਜੇ ਮਦਰ ਥੋੜੀ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਸਮਝੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਲਾਉਂਦਾ, ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਦੁਪਹਿਰੇ ਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਡਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੈਪ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਦਾ।
Yes, absolutely right, absolutely right.
ਦੂਸਰਾ ਭੂਆ ਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇ ਕਦੋਂ ਡਿਟੈਚ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਰਾਈਟ? But my question to you is, the attachment, mother is attached to the kid, but what about the kid getting attached to WhatsApp and Facebook and blah 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 blah, all the electronic gadgets?
Yes. So that is what attachment is. I told you what is attachment. Attachment is when we get attached to all these things, not only parents bonding, but attached to the materialistic world, to the money, to these addiction, to all these cyber hubs. And so what happens, this is also an attachment. So we parents have to see that how we are supposed to wean off the children. But how do we wean off? Attachment ਅਸੀਂ ਖੁਦ ਹੀ ਲਗਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਖਾਣਾ ਖਾਣਾ, ਬੱਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਭੁੱਖਾ ਨਾ ਰਵੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਸੇ ਮੋਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਆਈਪੈਡ ਪਕੜਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਇਹ ਟੀਵੀ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਬਿਠਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਫੋਨ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਾ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਰਹੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਸਨੂੰ ਖਵਾਉਂਦੀ ਜਾ ਸਕਾਂ। ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਫੁਲਕਾ ਖਾ ਲਿਆ, ਆ ਰੇ ਇਸਨੇ 2 ਫੁਲਕੇ ਖਾ ਦਿੱਤੇ, ਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਖਾ ਲਏ। But they don't understand, in that bargain they're destroying the child, because the child is getting attached to all those gadgets and all. So now this education teaches us that we have to be so alert. We have to be alert, because this is the time when the children are being exposed to so many things. And in this young age, we have exposed the children. Why? Because of our own benefits. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਸਾਡਾ ਮੋਹ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਾ ਦਾ ਪੇਟ ਭਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਣਾ ਖਾ ਲਏ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਉਠਾ ਕੇ ਫੋਨ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਆਈਪੈਡ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ। So we have to be very alert that we have to wean off these children from these attachments also.
ਨਹੀਂ, ਬੱਚਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਬੱਚਾ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ, ਜੇ ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਦੇ ਅੱਛੇ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ এনवायरमेंट ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਰੱਖੇਗਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਐਸਕਿਊ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ EQ ਉਹਦਾ ਅੱਛਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਭੂਆ ਜੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਪੀਅਰ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਬੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, you see.
So that is what happens. No, we say, check one thing, that from the very young age, from the tender age, our parenting should be so beautifully done, so that the children, when they grow up, they know what is right and what is wrong. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ into all these cybers and all, they go and all, understand ਕਿਥੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਥੇ they are coming into a fake life, they're coming into a real life, they're being trapped. The real life means in an artificial life. Artificial life is governed by whom? Pushed by whom? By these negative forces. What are these negative forces? ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਮ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਲੋਭ ਮੋਹ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਬਰਾਤ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਹੈ? ਸਾਡੇ subconscious mind ਵਿੱਚ, ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੇ hollow ਕਰਦੇ, like a termite, they have eaten us inside. ਉਸ hollow ਨੂੰ fill up ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ into this artificial life, and they try to fill up that hollow inside them. But sorry, they cannot fill up they get into this real life. That is why when we will go into spirituality, because spirituality ਵੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ spirituality means ਕਿ ਭਈ ਸੰਤ ਮਹਾਤਮਾ ਬਣਨ ਦਾ, no, ਸੰਤ ਮਹਾਤਮਾ ਬਣਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। You only must know how to live your life, how to handle situations and all. So when the children learn that, then they will never go into the real life. They will not try to fill up that hollow inside with this artificial life. So this education is also very, very important, which we are trying our level best to give on this platform.
ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਤਾਂ ਠੀਕ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਰੀਅਲ ਲਾਈਫ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਲੀਡ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮੋਸਟ ਆਫ ਵੀ ਆਰ ਇਨਟੂ ਰੀਅਲ ਲਾਈਫ, ਨਾਟ ਇਨ ਰੀਅਲ ਲਾਈਫ।
No, we are all in real life. We are all in real life. So what happened? What energy are we giving to our children? They're also leading the real life. The day we get into real life, the children also come to real life. First, you have to practice what you say.
Yes,
ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕਹੀਏ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ real life the artificial life ਵਿੱਚ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਰਹੀਏ, children are watching. What they see, they practice. They don't practice what you say.
Charity begins at home.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Anji, Kiran, you were having one question, no?
You can unmute yourself, Kiranji. You can unmute yourself.
I do. Hanji, Puaji, I had asked, Arvinda ji ne answer de ditta si. So I was asking, what if we are attaching to Puaji? Is that more?
Yes, 101% more. Because we are sticking to the body conscious.
Yeah.
Example, I have got my teachers in my life, 2 teachers. I've not seen them for years. I've not seen them for years. But I took all the knowledge I could suck from them and I detached from the physical body. And I'm applying that knowledge only till today.
Yeah.
ਇਹ ਬਾਬਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਡੇਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਬਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਉਹ ਡੇਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਪੜਾਇਆ ਸੀ ਕਾ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਛੋੜੋ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਡੇਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So we have to break from the body conscious. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਭ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣੋ, don't get detached ਕਿ Ravi Shankar said, Sadhguru said, BK said, ਕੀ ਬੋਲੇ, that's very important.
Right.
But we get attached to those institutes. So we say be open, very open mind, take everything, whatever suits you. When you find, yes, there's a transformation, suck it. What doesn't, just leave it.
Oh, perfect. So attaching to the knowledge, not to the person.
Knowledge, the knowledge.
Thank you, Buaji.
God bless you, Bacha.
For those that have missed our webinar on dichotomy of real versus real, so the recording has been put up on our website. So kindly revisit it and listen to it again. So that's really an eye-opener. Letting go of excessive clinging or emotional dependence on people or material possessions. Sounds far-fetched? Well, we shall learn in our round 2 tomorrow. It's a wrap for now. Thank you all for joining in. Good night.